Have you ever been referred to as awkward, or have you ever known yourself to be awkward? I feel like being Nigerian and awkward is very hard to explain, very hard to experience. I consider myself a very awkward girl now. Traditionally, here in Nigeria, I grew up in the eastern part of Nigeria. There's a lot of like when you're growing up, your parents will call you and say, your auntie is around. Go and greet your auntie now. Why are you standing there? And the whole time you're standing there trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. Like you know what you're supposed to do, but I don't know if you understand. There's this awkwardness that is around it. And this kind of my life. Why did I get into all this conversation? Today we're talking about Issa Rae. If in case you don't know her, Issa Rae is the, well, let's say producer. Is that what they are called? She's the owner. I prefer to use owner, right? She's the owner of the sitcom. Insecure. Ha! Wow. She's the owner of the sitcom Insecure that was on HBO a while ago. And her book is called, yes, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. She actually, before she did Insecure, she had done an entire series on YouTube called The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, which is actually quite good. Like today, it still holds up. Maybe because I considered myself an awkward girl when I was growing up. Maybe that's why, and all that. And when I was younger and I would ask questions like, why are you telling me to go and greet, a strange person? And where we are from, they'll tell you that going to greet is not just standing there saying good morning and going away. You have to go to that person. Good morning. My person will touch you. Oh, ne, how are you? Keduki, me? That kind of thing. So it's like the whole time you're standing there trying to figure out what to do. And I think I should Google out what being awkward is, because I don't think it's something I can describe. It's just a feeling. Like you always just don't seem to know. You have this self-consciousness when you don't just seem to know what to do at a particular time. You're thinking to yourself, okay, so what should I do? What should I do? Anyway, so Issa Rae, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. She's a memoir. It's about her life. She considers herself very, very awkward and what navigating her life was like. Now, the interesting thing, what I found very interesting about her is that she's someone that got into the internet very, very early in life. Like she was catfishing people. Like she was catfishing people when she was like, I don't know, 15 years old. But it's not like now where you can put a picture and lie that is you. No, back then I think the is it IM, whatever it is called, the chatting drivers then, where you have to just explain who you are. So she will say, oh, she's a white girl, she's in college, she's this, she's how many feet tall. She'll just lie a whole bunch of lie. But of course she got caught very easily. But back then I feel like social media or internet generally was not as, it wasn't on it wasn't on drugs like it is now. So it was easy for her to be called out and she would just leave. Issa was born Joe Issa. That's another thing I found interesting. Her real name is actually Joe Issa Rae Deer or something like that. Her bestie called her Issa Rae one time when she was in high school, and she just held on to it. Now, she's part African and African American, I think. Her mom was a French teacher who traveled to Senegal. Senegal is a francophone country in Africa. Traveled to Senegal to teach for like 2 or 3 years. Met her dad, who is I think, gynecologist, and they got married. And then Issa was born in the US. She grew up in the US, but a lot of times she will go home, and that's home. Sorry, home being Senegal. Go to her father's home. So she knows her cousins from there. She knows, and all that. And she talks about how this navigating this awkward thing that is her, how it affects the decisions that she made when she was old enough to like boys, when she liked boys, how she was trying to figure out how to deal with this situation, and the fact that she was never really liked. She felt she was somehow looking, so she wasn't considered cool, or so it's that's pretty much the body of her childhood. Her dad and mom got a divorce, and she talks about how she found out, like her relationship with her dad. I don't know if it is better now, but as of when this book was written, it wasn't good, because she found out that her dad was cheating on her mom, I think before the actual divorce. So I think the mom knew. In short, it's one of those things, and I think we do it a lot here in Nigeria. Maybe it's an African thing, I don't know. But where I'm from, a lot of times, some relatives might know your husband is cheating, but they don't tell you. As a matter of fact, I have friends where we had conversations where, like, one of my friends, we're like 4 of us. One said that under no condition should I be told if you find out that my man is cheating. And in the other case, the other ones, like me, I'm like, the instant I find out that you knew, you're no more my friend. So, but I think culturally here, we do this thing where you know, but you don't want to be the one to bring it up. So it's like I think the mother knew, or the like this woman was in the family house. The mother and father were kind of separated, but they hadn't gotten a divorce. So it was a thing of how she came into the house for an event, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, she's here! That's her!" And they were trying to figure out how they would explain to her who this other woman that was there was. And she was just so pissed. I don't even think in the end she brought it up with her mom. Like, I read this book a while back, so I don't remember the fine print well. But she just talks about how, the father still tried to, the father had a whole family, tried to come back to the mom because the woman ended up being an issue, even though I think she had kids for him. So it's just all these messy things that some of us do in the name of, I don't know, youth and inexperience, And in this case, youth and inexperience in the place of her dad and maybe her mom. So she talks about navigating the US as a black person. When she went to school, she talks about one time when her hostel or her dorm where she stayed got robbed, and a whole bunch of, like, she got introduced to, through this thing I talked about, the internet, she got introduced to movie making quite early in life, because the only way she could actually express and be like herself, since she was very awkward hanging out with people and talking with people, and the inconsistencies with people, including her family, she discovered recording and just putting things together and making people laugh, telling stories, doing interesting things, and she just ran with it. So it was something that she was doing. She and a good friend of hers, one time their house got robbed. So it's like she said that there's footage of her things somewhere out in this world where someone jacked her laptop and they are there, and she just lost everything, which I think is so sad. Like, they took her money, they took her stuff, and she had been paid for a particular project, and that project did not see the light of day. In fact, she got into trouble because the money that she was paid was gone. So, but that's Issa's story. It's kind of like her. It's kind of like, in a nutshell. You laugh a lot. I listened to it on Everand, so you hear her. She's talking about her this thing. So it's like she curses a lot, which is which is interesting, but it's funny. You can't help but laugh at some of the things that she talks about. Some of the crazy things that happen to her, they are funny, and but she talks about them in a funny way. I don't know if you understand. So it's amusing to you, but you're like, I can't believe that happened. So that's, I don't know. It's really cool, and one of the things I think I like the most about her story is that, despite being an American kid, her dad being from Senegal, she still had, I think the last time, as of when she wrote this book, she had traveled. I think she was like 16 or 17. So she knows her cousins. She knows her father's house. That's at least her father's family house. And I feel like there's something about that is good. We Africans, I feel like we get it. Those that don't stay in, that are not in Africa, may not understand. But there's something about knowing your history, your ancestry, like your father. So it's easy for you to just go to this family and be like, this is where these people are, and you know where they are. So she grew up in Potomac, Maryland. That's where she was raised mainly. Now, until I watched Real Housewives of Potomac, I didn't even know that place existed. But I read this book and I thought, hey, okay, that's good. But she was born in LA, so I think it was easy for her to go back to LA when she started doing her work and all that. Then she talked about how she got her first gig and eventually got the thing with HBO, meeting Pharrell, meeting Oprah. I mean, she has really, really tried, which is really good. So yeah, that's it. In case to avoid me blabbering on for a very long time, let me get into the questions that I think I would ask after reading this book. Now, it's available on Everand. I didn't check if it was on Roving Heights. If it is, I'll write it. You'll see it here if it's on Roving Heights. Because I'm trying to remember where I even found out that this book existed. Because I had watched, you can check out her YouTube. I'll put the YouTube in the link, her YouTube channel where she did this Misadventures of the Awkward Black Girl. It's kind of like dated when you see the post. Even when you see her, you'll be like, this was many years ago. Like, I think that's show should be like maybe say 12 years old now, or even 11. Like, it's quite old, but it's still very funny. Like, it's so silly, it's ridiculous. It's not true to her own story, especially if I use this book. However, it's a good way of navigating or explaining navigation of awkward. If you find yourself to be very awkward, I feel like this may actually be helpful. I think so. So a question I had to ask myself is, how does Issa Rae define awkwardness? She didn't define it per se. Oh, I forgot to say something that I found very nice about this book. She did this thing where she described different classes of people and how her, as an awkward person, address those issues. So she was like, okay, so with black people, there are different kinds of black people. There's the artsy black, there's the historical black, there's the bougie black, there's the prep school black, so it's like she will define what they were, and she will define how she, as an awkward person, learns to deal with them so that it's not too overwhelming for them, for you as a black person dealing with them. So it's like there's some people that you actually like agree with everything they say, just say, Some people are more argumentative, more combative in their identity as a black person in America. So it's like, yeah, as a black person, you're not supposed to do this, you shouldn't do that. You just, you don't have to agree, but you just nod and look at them. Don't try to, if you try to engage, you get into a lot, those kind of things. That's what she used to say, that then there are those that are, oh, these are your people, you can sit down, you can chat with them because they are more open to conversations. Same thing with, she did it with white people, did it with filmmakers, so it's like she has kind of like a template as to how she has figured out how to deal and navigate this life with different people being awkward. Now I'm talking about it, I'm wondering if being awkward is considered a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I just think that is, I don't know, it's life just being what it is. So anyway, a question I would ask is, how does ISSA define awkwardness? Again, she didn't exactly define it, but in talking about the way her life is, I think you get it. How does being awkward affect the way she sees herself? So the thing is that when you're an awkward person, because you spend a lot of time thinking about the way you would address people on the spot, a lot of times when you're done addressing the person, you're very critical of yourself. If you're someone that after you talk to someone outside, you come back in and you're thinking, why did I say that? Oh, that means you have a tendency to be very awkward. I guess there's a spectrum to it. There's a skill to it. Sometimes you're like highly awkward and sometimes you're just not. And for me, growing up, I was someone that just started learning that. I just started deciding to say, I don't even want to address this. Do you understand? I don't know if you've ever met someone and this thing has happened where you want to give the person a handshake and the person is trying to give you a hug. That's an awkward interaction. But you see that happening to somebody that is awkward. It's like the person can actually go home and be thinking, oh my God, why didn't I just give a hug? That was so weird. What did this person think about me? So it's like what you have to do is to learn not to overthink. Like overthinking, you have to just learn to focus on something else. Focus on the things that went well. Don't focus on the things that were awkward. Or else you're going to drown in something. You're going to just be like, oh, I don't want to go out. I don't want to. The possibility of that happening is very high. When does ISSA feel like she doesn't belong, and why? When she was in school, because she was a stereotypical black girl. She's a black girl in a school that had mixed people and all that, and she wasn't considered cool. So the time when she said that she actually walked up to this boy, there was a dance. She walked up to the boy. I wanted to talk to the boy about going to the dance, but the boy was always surrounded by his friends. Like no matter how much she tried to just find a guy at an isolated time, let her just go talk to the boy, she never did. So she was like, you know what, I'm going to wing it and talk to this guy in front of everybody or in front of her class, his friends. And he now walks up to the boy. I was like, okay, so this dance is happening, right? And the boy was like, yeah. So the guy said, I was wondering, we're going, Abby. I forgot how she said it, right? I sound so rash saying that. Like, so we're going to go. And I'm like, I said, please, I'm not going with you, that kind of thing. And all the friends started laughing. Like, they just made a whole thing. I feel like kids are very mean, especially teenagers. Like, anyway, I guess they don't know better, or we didn't know better then. They just made a whole thing about it, hooting and laughing, and and they just walked away. So the whole time she was not trying to like backpedal and be like, well, I didn't really mean both of us. I just meant, but at that point they had laughed and left, and the story just carried on. So it just became this embarrassing thing that happened to her. So it's like a lot of times she felt like she didn't belong. She got along with some of her siblings, but a lot of times she just felt like she didn't belong, and that was just that awkward thing that she had going on. Let me ask last question before I finish this video. Yes, what does ISSA learn about confidence and self-acceptance? Self-acceptance is actually where the confidence comes from. When you accept this is who I am, when I told you that she has like a template of how to deal with people, she first accepted this is who I am, this is how I am. She has a tendency to, like, if someone puts her at a spot, like if she's standing somewhere and someone says, ISSA, you took that book, she'll be like, I beg, it's not me, it's this person. She can actually, like, she can do it without even batting an eyelid, which is crazy. But when she starts accepting that I'm that kind of person, I'm someone that has a tendency, if you put me in a spot, I feel I have a fight or flight, like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, you want to shoot me, even though I'm just asking you a question. She's not comfortable with that. When she learned to accept that, she realized that she didn't have to answer immediately. Someone say, oh, ISSA, you took this. She'll be like, no, I didn't take it. She will think through. You understand? So the more she accepted who she was, the more confident she became as a person. So yeah, that's it for today. Did I introduce myself? I don't think I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Nest Telly. I'm Nest. Welcome to Nest Telly. If you haven't already, like, comment, and let me know. Are you an awkward person? I want to know what your awkward experiences have been like and what's going on. And again, we are in December 2025. Woo, woo. If you're awkward and your awkwardness is stopping you from moving, in 2026, that thing must die. You know what? It must die now. We don't have to wait till 2026. You know the mantra. We don't have to wait till the new year to change something. So yeah, leave a comment below. Do not forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you can get a notification. And I want to say a big thank you to my subscribers and repeat commenters and engagers. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Until next time. Mwah.